Hi everyone, Jeanette here with Vivo Vintage Designs. Thank you for joining me today. Today's video is for the beginner. I often get asked what products I recommend for the beginner to give alcohol ink a try without spending a lot of money. So in this video, I'm going to show you the products that I personally recommend, and I'll also give you less expensive options. So the first thing I want to tell you is that when you're working with alcohol and alcohol ink, you need to work in a very well ventilated area because of the fumes. You can also do a little research and find out what type of mask would be best for working with alcohol ink, or you can make sure that you have, like I said, good ventilation, open windows, a fan to blow the fumes away from you. But I do recommend that you do some research and find out what mask would be best for your personal use. All right, so we've got that out of the way. Now I'm going to give you a very inexpensive option for working with alcohol ink. These are tiles. They're ceramic tiles purchased at Home Depot or any hardware store. I think the smaller ones are about $1 and the bigger ones are just above $1. What's wonderful about working on or practicing on tile is that they're reusable and you can simply wipe away the ink using some alcohol. So these are a great option because, like I said, it's reusable and it's great for practice. So that's option number one. Option number two is what I use mostly, Kirkland photo paper. And I purchased this on Amazon. And when I first began, I didn't know that you can't use just any photo paper. This one was recommended to me, and this is what I have continued to use up until today. So Kirkland photo paper has a glossy side and a matte side. And you use the matte side, not the glossy side. The glossy side is designed to accept the ink when a photo is being transferred onto it. So the colors don't move, the ink does not move on the glossy side. However, it does move well, beautifully in fact, on the matte side. So that's the second option. And this is a little bit more expensive. And of course, it's not reusable. But once you decide that you like alcohol ink and it's something you want to continue with, the photo paper is a good option. There are other options as well, but they get more expensive. So now you need ink. In the description box below, I'm going to list all the products that I discuss here and all the products that I'm showing you. There'll be links. So although I don't have the ink that I'm about to tell you about, it will be linked below. So take a look if you have any questions. There is a kit from Pinata, I believe, and it contains 9 inks. And I think the price is about $25 or so on Amazon. And it's a good starter kit. That's what I started with. However, if a lesser expensive option is to purchase 3 inks, the primary colors, a red, a yellow, and a blue. And with those 3 inks, you can create just about any color, and it's much less expensive. So if you try it and you enjoy it, you can purchase a larger kit or individual inks, whatever you prefer. Now you're going to need alcohol. Alcohol for alcohol inks has to be either 91% or higher. I use 99%. 99 dries faster, 91% dries a little bit slower. Don't use anything below 91% because it contains more water, and alcohol and water do not blend, do not work well. So that's my recommendation. Now to apply the alcohol, I use these little bottles, and I like them because they have this little needle nose, and it allows me to control how much alcohol I place on my paper. And I would say this is probably one of the best applicators that I've used. Others release too much alcohol and can ruin a painting. So I prefer this one myself. And now to move the ink, or rather to dry the ink once, because I believe, let me preface by saying this, most beginners are really interested in creating this type of flower. And there are different techniques that you use, but I think the one most common is to apply your ink and you have to dry it before you apply the alcohol to move the ink. So in order to dry the ink, once I apply it, I use this. It's a Revlon hair dryer, and it has a couple of brushes that attach to it for styling your hair. However, the brushes are easily removable, and it has this nice large nozzle so that it's not a concentrated flow of air, which is going to blow your ink all over the place as you're trying to dry it. And it's got 3 settings: high, low, cool, and of course off. And this works really well. Now, if you don't want to purchase this, you can also try using an old hair dryer that you may have lying around. You can also purchase them at Goodwill. You find a lot of them. They're really inexpensive. Give that a try and see how well it works for you. Now, you're going to want to move the ink once you've dried it and you've applied your alcohol. You want to create these petals. You can purchase, or if you already have an airbrush, you can move the ink with an airbrush. However, if you don't have one and you're interested in purchasing one, they vary in prices and quality. It's very important to have an adjustable PSI on your airbrush. And depending on which brand you purchase, that can cost anywhere between, I would guess, $75 and up. I'll link the one that I use in the description box below, but it's not necessary for a beginner. I really like this. This is the Ranger air blower, a hand blower, and it fits comfortably in the palm of your hand, and it doesn't take a lot of pressure to get the air flowing, and it creates a good flow of air. I prefer to use this when I'm working on tile to create these flowers more so than my airbrush, because I feel that it gives me these big, beautiful petals, and very inexpensive. I think maybe about $14. So this is a really good option if you don't want to spend the money on an airbrush. But another option is the canned air. This is not my favorite. I've tried it and I have difficulties controlling the air. However, I see other artists create some beautiful, beautiful flowers using the canned air. It's something that requires a lot of practice, but personally, it's, again, not my favorite because these are not cheap and you don't get a lot of use out of one can, whereas this is reusable and you only purchase it one time. So the canned air is an option, but that's up to you. And now to seal your paintings, when I first started, I didn't know very much, and I tried to seal my first flower that turned out beautiful in my eyes with polyacrylic because it's water-based, and I know that water and ink, which is alcohol, don't mix. So I figured you can't use, I figured it's a water-based sealer, it'll work well for this. Well, it yellowed and it happened very quickly. So be careful what you use to seal your tile. I'll tell you what I recommend. And what I've used is the Krylon Kamar varnish and the UV resistant. Now, when you're applying the Kamar varnish, I apply multiple layers and I wait hours in between each layer for it to dry. And the reason I use multiple layers is because you have to make sure that you've completely covered the entire surface of your painting. So multiple layers will ensure that you've covered the painting well. Then you have to apply the UV resistant. The UV resistant contains alcohol. So if you haven't completely covered the surface with the varnish, any area that has not been covered will be reactivated with the alcohol and the UV resistant, and your painting will be ruined. So these are the two products that I recommend, and just be careful. Again, I can't stress it enough. Make sure you cover it well with multiple coats of the Kamar varnish. Now, to create these centers, which most people are interested in learning, it's very simple, and I do have videos. Take a look. I've created a playlist on my YouTube channel, which categorizes all the different techniques. So take a look at the playlist if you want to learn how to do alcohol ink on tile. There's a specific playlist for that, and so on. So Now you've created this beautiful flower, you want to create a center. I use snow cap for most of my centers, but to purchase the snow cap is usually purchased in a double pack. It has pitch black and the snow cap. And I think it's about $8 or $9 for those two colors, and maybe a little bit less, I'm not sure. However, as an option, and a much less expensive option, is using acrylic paint. These little bottles of acrylic paint of 2 fluid ounces are, I don't know, maybe between $1 and $2 at your local craft store. And to create these centers, I use micro brushes. I purchased 400 of these for about $8 or $9. You get to use them once, maybe twice, and then you have to throw them away. They are disposable, not reusable, really. So, as an option, you can use a dotting tool. This is a stylus, a dotting tool. And each end has a small little dot, which I'm not sure you can see, and it comes in different sizes. And in the link in the description box below, I've linked a pack of 5, and I think they're maybe like $5 or $6, and they're reusable. So you would use the tip, depending on the size of the dot you want to create, dip it into your paint or your ink, and just dot on your tile to create this type of center. Now the effect may be a little bit different, but this is a good tool for the beginner. And I also recommend that you get some inexpensive brushes. I don't recommend the cheapest brushes, because what happens is the bristles will fall out of the brush and into your painting. And if you've ever tried to remove a bristle from an alcohol ink painting, you'll learn very quickly that you're going to ruin your painting. So while I don't recommend the cheapest brushes, I don't also recommend the most expensive brushes, because the alcohol will ruin your brushes and you'll find that you replace them often. So get something in the middle. And those are my recommendations for the beginner with alcohol ink. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll be more than happy to answer all your questions. And if you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please give me a thumbs up and leave me any thoughts in the comments below. And if you would like to receive notifications anytime I post a new video, click on the bell. All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to spend with me. All right, bye.